to DREEMM, where we are focused on connecting to and building community. We are committed to helping individuals break cycles. We are delighted that you have taken the opportunity to join us. So prepare yourselves for this week's teaching and equipping session. Get ready to be educated, equipped, and set free as you listen to this week's broadcast. And thank you for joining us.
Hey, DREEMM family. Oh my goodness, it is another Truth Tuesday. And Pastor Kai has us covered this Tuesday for our Tuesday session. A few weeks ago, we enjoyed a phenomenal ordination service ceremony. It was completely just and utterly awesome. I think the team is still on a spiritual high just from everything that happened there. I want to say a sincere thank you from us for all the family that came out, the friends, the DREEMM family that was in the building. I want to thank all of the ministers and pastors that poured into us, the apostles, the teachers that poured into us as we got prepared for the ceremony. And for the next couple of weeks, you will be hearing from each one of us. And so this is absolutely exciting. And I'm still amazed. I am still amazed. I think God has floored me from the beginning all the way to where we are right now. And there is still more to come. I don't think God is finished with any of us yet. And we all have an opportunity every single day to recommit ourselves to Him and to the calling that He's given each one of us, the mandate that He gave us to be fishers of men. And so we are doing that every single day. So you guys, it was announced in ordination service that DREEMM South is coming. It is coming. So for the month of September, myself and Pastor Ken, we are going to be taking over Truth Tuesday for the month of September and just bringing you messages that God has placed on our hearts to share with His people. And so last week, Pastor Ken kicked it off. So this week, you get to hear from Pastor Kai. And I am so excited to bring you this word. For those of you who are tuning in for the very first time, and you're not sure who we are, what is DREEMM? DREEMM stands for Deliverance, Restoration, Education, and Empowerment for Me Ministries. We are DREEMM. If you'd like to find out more about DREEMM, we are a deliverance ministry based in Cincinnati, Ohio, but DREEMM South is coming to Chattanooga. But if you'd like to find out more about us, find out about our founder, our beliefs, what we stand on, this is where you find out about us in our website, which is www.dreemm.org to check us out. And then also, if you would like to sign up for Deliverance, this is where you go to sign up to our website. For those of you who have not done it yet, come on, like, share, and subscribe. Share this word with your friends, with your family. Go ahead and like this message. And then, of course, subscribe so that you can stay up to date on all the latest things with DREEMM and all of the messages from the Father's heart to His children. For those of you who want to know what we stand for, we help individuals and families break cycles. That is what we do. We help families and individuals break cycles. So I got you guys for 30 minutes. Or maybe 45, depending on what God says, but I'm going to try to do it in 30 for this Truth Tuesday session. And the title of this session is, This is Only a Test. This is only a test. You guys, I am going to take some time and dive into Matthew 4. And we're going to take a few things out. Sometimes I notice, speaking for myself, when I read the Bible, I am going so quickly that sometimes I have to go back and reread a chapter all over again from the beginning after I've just read it, because there are so many little nuggets that you may miss if you're just reading too quickly. I really want to dive in and study the Word and get more understanding and more clarity. So I'm always researching, asking questions, going back in, diving in, using different coordinates and other things in order to be able to find out what was the message that God was relaying to His people and what may He be trying to relay to Kai. Slow down and dive in. So that's what we're going to do today. We are going to come out of Matthew 4. We're going to start at verse 1 and go through verse 11. Okay. And I'm going to take my time with this because I want to make sure that you guys get from this what you need in order to be able to withstand the test of the enemy. I want you guys to be able to have some tools in your arsenal to be able to go through. And then I want to give you eye-opening, because one thing that I've said before that my mom has always said to us when we were little is there's nothing new under the sun. And the enemy, we know he can't create any new things. He can only duplicate. And sometimes he takes an old trick, puts a new spin on it, new fancy little, shiny little thing to catch your attention. And then all of a sudden you're going down the same path that everybody else has gone through in your family, or that cycles that you've seen or that you've been through before. That is the reason why. It's because he put something a little flashy to catch your attention. And the next thing you know, you're heading down the wrong path. So let's talk about this and let's look at it from what Jesus endured to help provide some clarity. So we're going to Matthew 4 and 1. Matthew 4 and 1. And it says, and remember, we're reading verse 1 through 11. Then Jesus was led by the Holy Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted by the devil. This is very much, I want to stop right here for a second. It should make you think about Job. And how God said to the devil when he came, he said, came to heaven, and he was saying, where have you been? And he said, I've been wandering to and fro. And he said, looking for who he could devour. And he said, have you considered my servant Job? Well, this is the same thing. The Holy Spirit led Jesus into the wilderness, but for the sole purpose of being tempted by the devil. I think this is the reason why when we pray and we're going through obstacles and situations, that God can relate. He can understand some of the things that we're going through because what Jesus had to endure and what he went through. And he was able to withstand the attacks of the enemy. So you should be able to withstand it too, as long as you go in with the understanding that I'm coming out on the other side. So it's not for you to get stuck in the situation. It is for you to remain encouraged and for you to remain worshiping, for you to remain in your word and know that I am coming out of this thing and I'm coming out with a testimony so that I can then share it with my brothers and sisters in Christ, and so that they will be able to be uplifted by what I'm sharing, and that they will know that they too can come out of this thing. And so that's what happened. So as we go to verse 2, it says, after he had gone without food and water for 40 days and 40 nights, no food, no water. Y'all, I just went on a dry fast for, earlier we did it for 3 days, and then I just did it for 1 day. And I can't imagine Jesus doing this for 40 days. 40 days fasting. What I can tell you about a life of fasting is that after a while, you start to build up a resistance and you don't even think about food. That was the thing that was shocking to me the very first time, where I knew I was going on a fast and I was going to be fasting for 2 weeks. I knew I woke up the next morning, and it was the very first time that I had ever done anything that long. And I remember waking up and going, I'm not hungry. And like completely shocked by that. And I don't know what I was expecting. I didn't know what to expect, but just woke up not hungry. And even through that fast, I was challenging myself because I still have to be a mom and a wife. So that meant I still had to make sure the boys and my husband ate. So I cooked dinner for them. I would sit at the table with them and talk while they ate. And it wasn't like that desire to eat. It just didn't kick in the way in my mind fear made me think it would. That's what it was. It was the fear that was triggering me and making me go, oh, you're going to be so starving that you're not even going to be able to think straight. You're not even going to be able to walk past the kitchen. You are just going to be like, oh my goodness. And none of that happened. I made sure that I stayed in my word. I prayed to God about which ministers to listen to during that time. And then I made sure I had worship music going on all the time. I made sure that I was lifting God up in praise, and not allowing myself to sit and think about, when this fast is over, oh, I'm going to go eat, dot, 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 dot. Did not allow myself to do that. And so, because I wanted to maintain my focus on God, it wasn't that I was going through this withstanding because I wanted, because at that point, if all you're thinking about is food, then you might as well just eat. Like that, you might as well just go ahead and eat. And so I needed to make sure that that wasn't it. That wasn't my focus. I'm just waiting to get through the day, guys, so I can hurry up and go eat that sandwich because I'm so hungry right now. No, I had to, you can't do that. And so I had to make sure that my mind stayed focused on him. And so that's where, that helped me during the fast. So I was able to go make a whole dinner, smell a whole roast or whatever cooking, chicken cooking, and not be in the kitchen like, I'm so hungry. And I wanted my family, because the boys had never fasted before, I didn't want them to feel like fasting. I'm making faces and going, I'm just so starving, because then that will set in their mind what fasting is like, and it will make them have an aversion to it. So it was very important for me in my mind to represent, hey, I'm worshiping God, and this is how I worship him. I worship him by remaining away from food, turning down my plate right now so that I can stay in a place of worship. And this is a place that brings me closer to him, and encouraging them to do also. So even during that time, they would go, I'm not going to eat lunch today because I'm just going to pray. Or, you know what, Mom, I'm not going to eat dinner right now because I just want to pray too. I want to worship God, or I want to take communion with you. So it was important to me as a mom what I represented to them. And then also when my husband and I fast together, it was important for us to represent a united front. So our kids didn't see us, looking like, oh my God, we're just so weak. I haven't ate or drunk for 3 days. Oh, it's just so much. I didn't want that to be it. And it wasn't, it wasn't that. And I think for the first time when my husband did fast with me, he said the same thing. I'm not even thinking about water. And I literally drink water all day. And we're going to go 3 days without that. I thought I would feel something else. And it just wasn't that. So for anybody who is struggling, who's thinking about, hey, I want to go through a fast, but I'm just not sure, Pastor Kai, how to do this, what to do, where to go. Like, I'm not sure what to expect. Definitely reach out to the Dream Team. We can give you some scriptures. We can give you some word. We can tell you, some things that are biblically based on fasting. And then at the same time, just talk you through and encourage you as you continue to do this, as you live a life and sacrifice to God, because that is what we do. We want to be close to him, in great relationship with him. And sometimes we have to deny the flesh in order for us to have that connection. So didn't mean to get on a rant about fasting, but that was where I wanted to go. So for now, back in chapter 2, it says, and he had gone without food for 40 days and 40 nights and became hungry. 3, and the tempter came and said to him, isn't it interesting? Let me stop there just for a second. That when Jesus was hungry, that's when the enemy came. For the 40 days that he was fasting, the enemy did not come at all. But once the fast was over and Jesus was hungry, all of a sudden the enemy just shows up. Hey, now that that's over. Isn't that how life is? Like, you're going great, you're fasting, you're praying, you're believing God, and then all of a sudden a storm just comes out of nowhere and things just fall down all around you. You feel like you're having a Job moment where I've been sacrificing to God, I've been believing, I've been praying, I've been in my word, and then it's like one thing after another. and you barely have a chance to really stabilize from all the chaos that's happening all around you before the next storm overtakes you. And it's just one thing after another thing after another. This is where I imagine that the enemy is trying to wear down the saints. And I got that a few months ago from Apostle Deborah Edwards. We were just talking about just a lot of things that were happening at that point. And I told her, I feel like God is saying that the enemy is trying to wear us all down. Like, I'm trying to drown you underwater so that you will stop worshiping, so that you will stop praying, so that you will stop praising, so that you will get out of your word, so that you will stop going to church, that you become so battle weary that you just give up. Like, I'm done. I'm walking away from it. I'm not doing anything else. Every time I try to give my life to God, that's when all of this stuff happens. And I feel like it's always an attack. And that is because the enemy is trying to wear you out, and he's trying to take your yes, your commitment to God. And so that's when he shows up, is when things start running along the way you're committed and you're going to church, because he wants you to now turn back around and do a 180 in the other direction. And if he can pull your focus and your attention back to him, and back to coming out of church, back to stop testifying to people, stop talking about Jesus all the time, stop praying for people, stop taking your children to church, stop telling your children to read the Bible. If he can get your focus off of God, he's won. That's exactly what he wants to do, because then he can pull not only you, but everything attached to you now comes back from up under the covering of God. What he wants is for you to say, okay, you know what? I'm done. Throw in the towel. I'm finished. And for some of you, that may be where you are right now, where the enemy is literally trying to yank you backwards. I am trying to get you and pull you back over here. And that is when it's time to go harder. I literally just had this conversation, lots of conversations with Apostle Deborah Edwards, and told her, this situation is happening, but I know how to answer this. I answer this with increasing my praise. I answer this with increase in my worship. I answer this with faith, with fasting. I answer this with faith. I answer this with, God, I give you my yes, and I commit to my yes. This is how I answer this, instead of allowing myself to get so battle weary that I crumble and I don't get back up. This is what your answer to the chaos has got to be. You can't afford to feel the weight and pressure and go, I'm going to carry this and I'm going to walk away from God. Because I know when I feel the weight and pressure coming on, I give that to God. I have no way of carrying it anyway. I don't know what to do here. So God, until you move, I'm just going to sit still and just know that all things work together to the good of those who love you. And I love you. I have accepted you as my Lord and Savior. I have committed my life to you. I have lived a life in front of my children where they see you represented inside of me. They can feel your love. I testify to everybody I meet. Let me tell you about a man who knew everything about me and still loved me. Let me tell you about it. I'm not quiet Christian. I am bold out there speaking out loud. I need you to know I love him and that he loves you. So I definitely can't get somewhere and sit down and be quiet. And the enemy would love to shut me up, and he would love to shut you up. So, I said I was going to keep it in 30 minutes. Quit getting me off the subject. And the tempter came to him and said, if you are the Son of God, command that these stones become bread. Now remember, Jesus had been fasting for 40 days and 40 nights. He had not had any food or water for 40 days. He had gone without food for 40 days and 40 nights. Let me say that correctly. So he said, make these stones become bread if you are the Son of God. But Jesus replied, "It is written and forever remains written, man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that comes out of the mouth of God." So let's talk about tests. Let's go to tests. So the first test that the enemy came for was the test of satisfying your fleshly desires. At that moment, we talked about this. Jesus is hungry and he has been fasting for 40 days. And the first thing that the enemy said was, go ahead and turn these stones to bread. If you are the Son of God, turn these stones to bread. Go ahead, do that. And that's what the enemy is still doing right now with you and me. He's still trying to get us to do the things that satisfy our fleshly desires. God, what is fleshly desires? Some of you have addictions to sex. Some of you have addictions to alcohol, to drugs. Some of you have addictions to shopping. Some of you have addictions to all kinds of things that do not glorify God. Maybe you have addiction to eating. Maybe God, that's why I can't fast. I just can't stop eating. That's what it is. Every time I try to fast, God, you said you didn't think about food. I think about food all day. God, how am I fast? You know what I'm going to do? I'm a fast from social media. You know what I'm a fast from? I'm a fast from taking walks. That's what I'm a fast from. Because I feel like God wants me to fast from something, and taking walks is a good thing for me to fast from. No, just turn down your plate. Just turn down your plate. Fast for me, not only do I turn down my plate, but I turn down anything that is circular or worldly. I turn it all off. Turn off the TV, turn off everything. If I'm not listening to word, I'm not listening to it. To the point where people call me and want to talk about certain things, and I'm like, no, I can't. I'm fasting. I can't judge. I can't. I'm fasting. Nope, don't want to talk about that. I have no opinion on this. Nope. And I don't say I'm fasting. I just be like, no, I don't have any opinion on this, but let me call you back later. That's it. Because I need to get somewhere and sit quietly and just be able to hear from God and be able to receive from him. And in those times, you have to protect your ears and your gates. You have to protect all of your gates. Because the enemy is looking for a way in. Like, give me something. Give me something to get her with. Give me something to get him with. I need something to pull his attention. I need something to pull her attention. And so you have to protect every gate. I don't want to hear anything. I don't want to see nothing. I don't want to speak nothing. I don't want to touch nothing. I don't want to agree to nothing. I don't want anything. All I want is God. That's it. That's all I want. I want you guys. So just whoever needs to lose my phone number during this time, God, just go ahead and let them lose it. Let their phone break. I don't want to contact anybody. Don't let them reach me on social media. I log out anyway. I don't want to get no messages. I don't want to get no alerts. I don't want anything that's going to distract me from you. That includes food. Anything that's fleshly that would distract me from you, I need to abstain from it during this time. And so the very first thing that the enemy tries to come at Jesus with is satisfying his fleshly desires. What is the enemy coming at you with? What will he use as a weapon against you? We say no weapon formed will prosper. Well, what is the weapon that's being formed against you? And more importantly, are you the weapon that the enemy is using against you? Are you it? Is it your thoughts? Is it what you say? Is it the people that you hang around? Is it the things that you say about you to you? I'm so stupid. I don't know anything. I'm so fat. I can't do anything. I don't have no gifts. I'm not pretty. What are you saying about yourself? Sometimes God has to protect you from your own desires or your own plans. Because you will be the one, the enemy will sit back and go, I didn't even think about that one. Because you done came up with a whole new weapon against yourself. What is it that the enemy is using in order to lure you to the other side? That he's able to use to divert your attention and take your focus off God. What would that thing be? God, when I fast, I need you to help me break agreement with anything that the enemy is using to pull me away from you, to pull my focus away from you, to pull my attention away from you. When you're reading the Bible, and how you can tell if this happens, when you're reading the Bible, what does your mind automatically go to? I'm reading, and all of a sudden I'm thinking about work. Oh, dang, did I send that email? Did I answer that question? I was supposed to call that lady back. Dang on it, why I ain't call that lady back? You know what? I seen this recipe for this pot roast or this pot pie on TikTok. Did that lady make some egg rolls, Philly cheesesteak egg rolls? I wonder what the special is at such and such and so tomorrow. Girl, you know what? I forgot they got a sale going on. And you supposed to be reading the Bible. You done went to 16 different topics. You done forgot what you was reading. Now you gotta hit a kite and go backwards to the beginning of that chapter and start all over, because I done messed something up. Or if you're sitting in church, all of a sudden your mind goes somewhere else and you ain't hear anything the pastor said, because the enemy has diverted your attention to something else. And the very message that that minister or that woman of God or that man of God deliver may be the very thing, the key that you need in order to break you out of bondage, or catapult you into the next life, or help you fight the issue or the obstacle that's going on in your life at that moment. But because you allowed the enemy to take your attention and divert it to something else, you missed out. That's why it's so important that we ask God. And I started doing this several years ago, back in 2006, but I do it every so often and just ask God, show me. What else is here that doesn't represent you? When you see me, that doesn't reflect you in when you're looking at me. What is it in me that will pull me away from you? What is in me, God, that just disgusts you, that you go, oh, I don't like that. We got to cut that out. What is that thing? And I need you to remove it. And this time when I fast, I want you to go after that thing. So it was to satisfy the flesh. That was the first test. Next test came for identity. So let's keep reading. We are going back to Matthew 4. And this time we're picking up at 5. And it said, the devil then took him into the holy city of Jerusalem and placed him on a pinnacle, the highest point of the temple. And he said mockingly to him, if you are the Son of God, throw yourself down, for it is written, he will command his angels concerning you to serve, care for, protect, and watch over you. And they will lift you up on their hands so that you will not strike your foot against stone. Jesus said to him, on the other hand, and this is the Amplified version, it is written and forever remains written, you shall not test the Lord your God. And so he said, if you are the Son of God. So the second test, he came after his identity, and it was a test of the mind. And why do I say it's a test of the mind? Because oftentimes the enemy, and still to this day, is coming after people's identity. You guys see it all the time. Coming after people's identity, trying to convince you you're not who you are, trying to convince you that you're not, a child of God, trying to convince you that there is no God. And if there is no him, then who created you? Why were you created? What purpose were you created for? Maybe you just put on this earth just to be on this earth. And maybe this is a once in a lifetime experience. Or maybe you'll come back as a butterfly. Who knows, at this point, but there's really not a God who created people. He didn't create you to do what the Bible says. And the Bible is just full of fairy tales and it's not real. All of these lies that the enemy is telling us to separate you from knowing who you really are, who God called you and purposed you to be. And so instead of affirming who you are. He's trying to lie to you to make you feel like there is no purpose to your breath. And if I don't understand the purpose of a thing, I am more likely to abuse it. I misuse it and abuse that thing. And so that's what the enemy is trying to do. You are easily manipulated when you don't know who you are. I could tell you anything. I could tell you, listen, your mama was a da da da, your daddy was an XYZ, so you are a giraffe. Sounds right, right? Spirit animal. You're a spirit animal. That's what it is. You believe in the power of crystals. Duh, these crystals are going to make your life so much easier if you put the right colors together. And it's easy to manipulate you because you have no idea who you are. And you don't read the Bible, so you don't know who God said you are. And so now it's easy because now you sit up in church and the pastor or the preacher or whoever in the pulpit can say anything, can spew anything they want to spew at you. And you just accept it because I'm still not quite sure who God called me to be. The enemy is still coming for identity. It is the reason why we have people who were born one gender decide I'm supposed to be another gender because I feel inside of me that I am more of that gender than I am what God created me to be. So instead of believing that there is something underlying here happening, I would rather believe God must be a God who makes mistakes. Because there's no other way to explain this, that he put me in the wrong body. He put me in the wrong frame of mind. He put me in the wrong everything. There's nothing right about me. And if I can attack your mind, you are easily to manipulate. But also, this is why we also are starting to see increases in people who are committing suicide. When our children are not sure who they are, we are seeing children who are going into schools and who are doing all sorts of things sexually, immorally towards each other. I just heard a horrific story about a young man who was abused by some other students at school here in our neighborhood. And it was a group of boys. Horrific things to him. Where are we in faith, where we are losing sight of the next generation? Where is our focus when we are not able to grab them and catch them before the enemy ensnares them? I am too focused on me and mine and what's happening with mine that I don't have the ability to look outside of mine and go, who else can I help? Who else needs somebody to pour into them? I'm not on the lookout for where the enemy is coming in other individuals because I'm so focused on my own lenses. I saw a story recently where a young woman was being kidnapped. And she jumped out the car on the expressway and was trying to get help, like somebody stop. And the cars are swerving around her to get away from her. And the person who kidnapped her was able to get her back in the car. Nobody stopped to help. Where are we? And this is not just identity of self, but identity of community. Identity of Christ, who he called us to be. Where is our discernment? It's so much more than the trivial pieces that we try to break this down to be. Where are we, saints? Well, what are we doing? I'm just worried about the people who pay tithes in my building. I ain't worried about nobody else. The people who pay tithes right here, this is it. That's all who members of our church. If you don't pay tithes, you're not a member. We ain't coming to help you. We're not coming to pray for you and your family and your children and your hour of need. You're not a member of our church. What are we doing? The next thing I want to go to, third test, allegiance, test of commitment. So let's go on. We're going to pick up at 8. And it says again, the devil took him on a very high mountain and showed him all the kingdoms of the world and the glory, splendor, magnificence, and excellence of them. And he said to him, all these things I will give you if you fall down and worship me. Then Jesus said to him, go away, Satan, for it is written and forever remains written, you shall worship the Lord your God and serve him only. Then the devil left him and the angels came and ministered to him, bringing him food and serving him. First of all, before I go to the allegiance, let's point out something. In the last test 2 and test 3, the devil took him to a high point, a very high point. I want you to think of this in terms of today. Think of it in terms of, because it's something I noticed recently with a couple of high profile people. When it comes to celebrities, think of it when it comes to social media influencers, the ones who have committed suicide. It is just like the enemy to elevate you to a certain point and then demand a sacrifice from you. And then if you want to go any higher, then I'll elevate you higher, but I'm going to demand an even larger sacrifice from you in order to show your commitment to me. That is what we're seeing with this last test here. The devil wanted allegiance. I'm going to give you all these things. I'm going to give you splendor, magnificence, excellence of everything that you're looking at. I'm going to give you kingdoms. All you got to do is bow down and worship me. That's all I ask. It's simple. Bow down and worship me. And if Jesus was not sure in his identity, test number 2, he may have fallen for this foolishness of test number 3. How you gonna give me what you don't even own? And why would I want this kingdom when my Father in heaven has a place for me? My Father who created you, why would I want this? It's almost like a watered down version of what Jesus already has. And I'm going to offer that to you. And that's what the enemy is still doing today. He's not giving you better than what you get with God, just being an heir, being his son and his daughters through Christ. I'm not giving you that. Restored through Christ. I'm not giving you any of that. No. I'm going to give you this junk. And I'm going to tell you it's excellence. And I'm going to expect you to want this trash that I'm offering you. But if you don't know who God said you are, you would accept it. Because in your mind, this is as good as it's going to get. This is it, right? This is all we get. When God has so much more for you. When he's got so much more in store from each one of us. That's why I titled this message, This is Only a Test, because I wanted to remind you as you're going through the obstacles of life, because the Bible doesn't say that you will go through life and there will never be an obstacle. There will never be a problem. It's going to be smooth sailing. As soon as you give your life to Jesus, you'll never cry another day. There'll never be another problem. It says that nowhere. Life will happen. You will lose people. You may cry. You may go through turmoil, you may go through situations, but it is what you do in those moments. It is how you respond. Your situation doesn't dictate how or demand how you have to respond. You have the ability to control your reaction. You have the ability to control your response. You have the ability to control whether you agree with the enemy or whether you don't. That is what free will is. You can make that choice. You have the ability to do that. The enemy can't force you into anything. He can't. And guess what? If you are in a situation right now where you are going, you know what, Kai? I know God is not the head of my life right now. And I need to make a different decision because I want to recommit myself to him and I want to live for him. Guess what? You can still do that. As long as there's breath in your body and your heart is sincere. God, I want you not for the things, not for your benefits or all of that. Those are extra. But I want you because I want connection and relationship with you. You can decide that. And nobody can tell you that you can't. They can't. But I need everybody to know, if you get nothing else out of this, it's a test. This is only a test. And you get to worship your way through the test. Let's go to a couple of more scriptures and then I'm going to wrap this thing up. Let's go to 2 Timothy 2:25. I'm going to read 25 and 26. It says, he must correct those who are in opposition with courtesy and gentleness, in the hope that God may grant that they will repent and be led to the knowledge of truth, accurately understanding and welcoming it. 26 says, and that they may come to their senses and escape from the trap of the devil, having been held captive by him to do his will. This is what I was just talking about when I said, for those of you who have said, you know, I know I'm on opposition team. I did it the wrong way, Kai. I didn't end up in a place where I don't want to be. Pastor Kai, I don't want to be here. I want out. I want out of the enemy's camp. I don't want it. I've been held captive by him and I was doing his will, but I don't want it anymore. I want to about face. I want to run back to God. You can do that because the enemy will set up entrapments and snares to try to pull us away from God. But at any moment, you can stop and go, not no more. Not doing this. I'm running back to the Father. And go back to him. Last scripture I want to read. Let's go to Psalms 141, 8 through 9. I'm reading it from the NIV. It says, but my eyes are fixed on you, sovereign Lord. My eyes are focused on you. That's where we've got to remain. When we take our focus off of him and we look in another direction, that's when the enemy can come in because he's now got you. And I shared this many years ago, I want to say back in 2017, 2018, I had a dream and I saw the enemy and he was pulling out, it was almost like a Santa Claus bag, the red bag that Santa Claus brings. He was pulling out presents and they were all wrapped in shiny paper, and he would hold them up and people were on the floor and they were just chilling away, just working with their heads down. And he would hold the present up and he would shake it. And when it got your attention and got you to stop working and look up, he would throw the present at you and you would catch it. And then when you caught it, you would stop working. Now, as long as you kept your head down and you kept working and you kept focused, you never noticed what the enemy was doing, trying to catch your attention because your head was down and you were focused. That's how we have to be, like it's saying in Psalms. My eyes are fixed on you, sovereign Lord. I'm not looking up. I'm not looking to the left. I'm not looking to the right. I'm not giving the enemy even a foothold. I am focused on you. In you, I take refuge. Do not give me over to death. Keep me safe from the traps set by evildoers, from the snares they have laid for me. Keep me safe from it, because we know the enemy is going to come with tests. He's going to come to set you up. He's going to come with traps. And some of them are going to be okayed or permitted by God because it's for elevation. I'm taking you to a different place in me. And in order for you to get to this new place in me, I've got to break some things off of you. And I've got to help you develop some new skill set to be able to sustain at the next level I'm taking you to. You can't operate in the next level still like you were on the last level because you're missing some key elements. And so some of you are stuck in place because you've got to get those elements down. It's almost like going through grade school. You couldn't go to second grade until you learned how to operate at a first grade level and master first grade skill set, because there were certain things that you learned in first grade that equipped you for where you needed to begin in second grade. But it wouldn't sustain you to the end of second grade because there were certain things that you needed to learn. And what you learned at the end of second grade prepared you for what you needed for third grade, and so forth and so on. There are certain things that you are learning you need to grasp on this level in order to get you to operate at the next level that God has called you to go to. But you're stuck because you're doing that cycle. I got to take you back through it again because you didn't pick up the skill set that you needed that were mandatory on the last level. So instead of being able to propel you to the next place in me, I got to keep you where you are. You're stagnant. Catch this. Don't stay stagnant, because the enemy recognizes, if I can keep you on this level, the next level you go up, you're going to be able to beat me on that level. The tools, the tricks I'm throwing at you right now are going to look like preschool on the next level. So I can't let you go up any higher, because if you go up higher, baby, you're going to conquer some stuff. You go up any higher, you're going to break some stuff off of your children. You're going to break some stuff off of your parents. You're going to break some stuff that other family members that came into agreement with. So I got to keep you stagnant right here so that you won't operate at the next level. And that's where the enemy wants to keep you stuck at. If I can keep you stuck here, baby, ain't nobody scared of what you're doing on your preschool level. I'm not scared of that. But wait till you get some power behind you. And so that's why he keeps throwing weapons at you to keep you off focus, to keep you from really diving in. This is why you can't fast, because baby, you fast, you might break some things. Don't let her start fasting. Y'all bring up another commercial of chicken or something. Bring up another commercial with some French fries or something so she can go order her some French fries. He can go order a pizza real quick. Don't let him fast. Wait a minute. Don't we got a coupon that we want to send him for Grubhub or somebody? Uber Eats. Don't we want to send him a 20% off coupon or something so he just order that and he won't be thinking about fasting? This is where the enemy tries to keep you bound. And you've got to recognize it. You've got to have discernment. Your spiritual lens is on to go, well, that's the devil. And then you've got to be able to control your response. That's maturity. That's spiritual maturity. Just because somebody go crazy don't mean you got to respond crazy. Because certain levels, people are looking at you as representation of him. And so when I see you just wild out, I'm like, what God she serves? I don't want to serve that God. I don't want to serve that one. Who she serving? Who is he serving? What pastor? What church are you a pastor at? I don't want to go there. See, you guys, that's why it's important that you understand the test. that you understand what God is showing to you, and that you understand this is only a test. It's only going to last for a short while, but you've got to endure. I was thinking about the children of Israel coming up out of Egypt, coming from Pharaoh's grasp. What was supposed to just take a few days for them to get to the promised land ended up taking 40 years because they got held in bondage. Don't let this test that's only supposed to last you a short period of time of discomfort end up taking you decades to get out of. Generations end up trapped going through the same thing over and over and over again for something that you were supposed to break. Had you just been faithful to God, your children, your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren would be set up. But because you allowed your discomfort in the wilderness to sway your mind and get your focus off of God, now everybody is still bound. Don't allow that to happen. God forbid it. God, let me get comfortable being uncomfortable for this test. Let me get comfortable in worshiping you for this test, God. Let me prove to you that I am worthy and committed to you, because the enemy wants your agreement. That's what he's coming for. He's coming for your agreement. And if he can get your yes, which is what that third test was, let me get your yes, bow down and worship me. That's agreement. That's what he's trying to get from you. Why is that significant and important? Because once he gets your yes, you have now turned your back on God. You've told God no. When you tell the enemy yes, that's what you're saying to God. I don't trust you or believe in you. I don't believe that you can do it. I'd rather believe this joker over here can make it happen. Oh, okay. We give the enemy our yes and we say no to God. And when you look at it that way, hopefully it will make somebody go, wait a minute, no, I'm not about to tell God no. Hopefully that'll make you go, what? No, I'm not about to do that. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. But essentially that's what you do when you connect and agree with the enemy. So I want you to go back and reread chapter 4 again, Matthew 4, 1 through 11. And think about the test that I just talked about and think about how it relates to your life. Where are you? Is the enemy coming after you? Test that you're in right now is satisfying my flesh, God? That's where the enemy is testing me at? Or is the enemy coming after your identity? He's trying to make me lose focus of who I am. He's trying to make me feel like I'm losing my mind. He's trying to make me feel like I'm going crazy. He's trying to make me feel like there's something wrong with me. Like I'm just not right. He's trying to make me feel like I'm not a Christian. He's trying to make me doubt my faith, my belief. I don't even know if I'm in the right religion anymore. He's trying to make me doubt that there even is a God. Where is he coming in? Or would you say, God, he want my agreement? He is testing my commitment to God. That's where I'm struggling at. Go back through and read Jesus' response to all three of those tests. And let that be your response when the enemy comes in. You're going to have to give him word. I've said this before and I'll say it again. If you are not in your word, you are not reading the Bible, even if it's just a chapter a day, even if that's it, it's a few scriptures a day, a few verses a day. If you are not in your word, then the enemy knows more Bible than you do. So when he gives you word that is like he gave Eve, that's twisted. He can twist the word and you'll sit there and believe, oh, that do say that in the Bible. And it don't say it anywhere in the Bible. But you won't know that because you're not reading. You have an opportunity. You can get a Bible downloaded in your phone in just a few seconds. And it's absolutely free. We have no excuses. My husband shared a few weeks ago, and it really made both of us stop and go, wait a minute. Our son, our senior in high school, our youngest, he is in school. He has to be up at 5 o'clock in the morning to get to school. He comes home at 2:30 in the afternoon. He's home maybe 45 minutes, goes to work, comes home 9, 10 o'clock at night, takes a shower. But every night before he goes to bed, he said, Mom, I read 10 chapters of the Bible every single night. And my husband looked at me and said, I have no excuse, because I know I have more time, downtime than that kid. I know I do. So I have no excuse. I have time to read, watch TV. I have time to do everything else I want to do. What are you making your priority? Because that was really what we got out of it. What is your priorities? You tell me where your time goes, and I can tell you what your priority is. It is time for us to start making God a priority in our lives, and not just a wish fulfiller. He's the Santa Claus that comes in, ho, 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 Merry Christmas, and that's it. So you guys, I am Kai Cunningham. This has been another episode of Truth Tuesday with the Dream Team. I hope you guys enjoyed this message, and I look forward to seeing you